call this a part 2 to our tailoring preview videos on the alpha. In the most recent build, we have found some undocumented changes. This was not in the patch notes. Obviously, this was something that was expected to come around eventually, but we have actually gotten a deeper look into what some of these are going to be named, the profession bags, especially in tailoring. We still don't know fully how we're going to get all of them. You don't seem to be able to learn a lot of these straight from, straight from knowledge point trees or getting them as recipes. It basically just says recipe unlearned still. So that's one of two options. Either it comes from the trainer directly for all of these, or they haven't implemented what's actually going to happen yet. But we have a look into how many slots these are now. We're looking at a 40 slot reagent bag, which is the epic version, or the rare version, or whatever you want to call it, which is 4 more than what we saw in Dragonflight, which is pretty nice. It's a good upgrade. For the actual profession bags, there's still a couple of them that are a little unfinished, but these are must-haves based on the equip bonuses. This is something that we kind of expected to happen. You can see, for example, here for tailoring, the severed satchel, it says every 10 crafts of Dawn Fred or Dusk Fred will return a charge of that craft, which basically means if you're crafting Dawn Fred or Dusk Fred, which is a new Chrono Claw for a Sureweave, right? Every 10 crafts you're going to get a free charge. So if you don't have this bag, you're going to be getting less profit than everyone else. So that's going to be an absolute must. There's not even a slight chance that these are not going to be worth it. We don't have the full cost of how much they're actually going to, take to make yet. We don't know how hard that is. But they require 25 points into a profession and level 80. But I think level 80 is fine, and I think the 25 points into a profession is fine too, because the equip bonuses don't matter much if you're not using the profession that much. But you can see here, for alchemy, we're looking at increases the chance Algari experimentations discover a new recipe by 1%. So this is just basically making experimentations a little better. Even though it's only 1%, obviously these values might change, but this is also good. 1% can mean quite a lot, especially if you're trying to go for specific recipes. And then we're looking at inscription here. Transcribing a Castle Algar Darkmoon card has a 5% chance to create another. That's 1 in every 20th, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that much, but in the long run, this is going to be worth it to absolutely have. And you can also see, as an additional piece of information, it does say unique equipped, and it also says unique profession bag too. So it says you can have 2 of these, and there are also 38 slots. And the good part about these bags is the fact that these are just specifically profession bags, right? But unless they say, oh, this is a reagent bag like this one does, right? 38 slot reagent bag. Then this one says 38 slot bag. So these are going to be able to, you're going to be able to put normal items into these bags and not only profession stuff. This one in particular is obviously reagent bag, so that's a little different. But I'm kind of happy that they're doing that. And it's not something where you can only use it for profession stuff, because that would kind of suck a little bit, I think. Especially if you have to have 2 equipped, then you'd be swapping in between bags all the time for good space, I guess. But either way, enchanting's not implemented yet, but we can, based off of all these other ones, we can probably expect there to be some sort of buff to either disenchanting or crafting enchants or something like that, right? And then we're looking at what seems to be blacksmithing, even though it doesn't say so. I know it is based on the equip effect. It says every 5 crafts of ever-burning ignition will refund 1 charge, which is very good for blacksmithing, because blacksmithing has ever-burning ignition, which is a new profession stat buff that is on a cooldown. So it refunding 1 charge means you can use those particular profession stats a lot longer, which is quite nice. And then we have jewel crafting, and that says increases the maximum yield of crushed gemstones from Algari crushing by 1, which is good, right? If you're trying to flip some materials around and make some materials for what you need, this is good. You could obviously argue that some equip bonuses are a little better than others, but every profession is also different, right? So that kind of depends. Then we have mining. Mining's not yet implemented, so it's hard to test any of this stuff. But it says the cooldown of overload empowered deposit is reduced by an additional 1% when mining, which is good, right? That it's, it makes you get your overload ability a lot faster, and this is probably going to mean a lot, especially early on. For, whenever we get this 1%, I'll take it. It's absolutely worth it, especially if you plan on mining a lot. And then we have engineering here, and that says increases the yield of Agari scrap from most sources by 1. So you're going to get more scrap, which you need for almost, I want to say 50% of your crafts, maybe even more than that. So, hey, we'll take what we can get. And then we have a regular reagent slot bag here for 38. For the people that can't have the tailoring one, which is a 38 slot reagent bag as well, you can get a regular one with 38 slots, which is good. And then we have an herbalism bag, which is, again, this is also for the overload mechanic that exists for herbalism and mining. So basically the same thing. And then we're looking at leatherworking here, and it says does something cool for leatherworkers. They still haven't implemented what that's going to be yet, but that's also fine. We can get a pretty good perspective into what's potentially going to happen to a lot of this stuff. It is a little weird that we have a Duskweave bag here for 38 slots, and then we have a Dawnweave reagent bag for 40 slots. I feel like that's kind of weird for reagent bags. I don't really understand why they're making 2 of them at those levels, but maybe that's just the regular ones. I feel like the tailoring one should be 40 as well. But either way, this should give you guys a pretty good perspective into what they're kind of doing with profession bags. I think this is a good thing to do. I'm pretty happy with the fact that this is what they're going for. I think this is a great addition to profession bags, but also tailoring in general, right? Because I really like bag crafting and tailoring. I know it's not everyone's thing, but I do like it. Another part is it does say binds when equipped, right? So it's a BOE, which means these are not at the moment going to be forced to be crafted through the profession system, or not the profession system, the work order system. So it looks like we're going to be able to craft each and every single one of these and put them on the auction house, which I'm pretty excited about personally. But it's cool. It's another little small fun piece of thing for every profession out there. I'm pretty happy. Maybe some of these could use some tweaks, maybe some better equip effects, but we'll see what they end up doing with some of the values, some of the numbers on here. But it's certainly better than nothing. But if you guys have any questions for any of this stuff, make sure you drop those down in the comments below. When we figure out, or when I potentially might be able to figure out how we get these, I'll let you guys know. We'll make a part 3 potentially for tailoring, and we'll see where we're at. But I appreciate you guys watching all the way to this point in the video. If you did, make sure that you type cake down in the comments below, okay? Because then I'll know that you watched the video all the way through. I really appreciate you guys hopping in and supporting the channel. But that's going to be it for me today. So, until the next one. See ya!